Alright, we're back with some more of this. You know what time it is. You know the drill. In we go. Well, Byakuya and Makoto showed up together. Where the heck have you two been? You just disappeared without a word. You were investigating, of course. How could you not figure that out by this point? Makoto's running tight enough for you guys to go off together. Just the two of you?
Huh?
What? Are you jealous?
Hey!
Or are you making up some kind of creepy fantasy for yourself?
What?
Stop talking and brace yourselves. You'll be here any second. Any second. You could show up at any time. I imagine what was about to happen immediately. 10 seconds to prepare myself, but... Stood there for 5 whole minutes waiting for some weird to happen. And 5 minutes began. 10.
Why?
What's going on here? Why hasn't Monaco showed up?
Could it be...
He died again? What should we do? Should we keep waiting? Or what?
What?
Jesus! Did I scare you?
Come on!
Demand explanation. Why'd you waste my time and make me wait like that? What, I made you wait? I'm gonna do that in case there's no good thumbnail for the trial. Just something weird. Got it all backwards. You were the ones making me wait, huh?
In other words...
Waiting for everyone to arrive can't start till everyone's here, so now can't. What are you talking about? Everyone is here. We've all been waiting for you. Sorry, but you were wrong. But I've been waiting 10 minutes now, so it's okay if I punish the one making us all wait, right? If we agree it's a violation, I'll arrange a punishment right now. If it's me you're waiting for, I'm here. Up. It's Kayoko, isn't it? We heard that voice, you all spun around.
Hey.
Oh no. The evildoer! The one that killed Mukuro Ikisawa. I'm here. No rules spun broken. Okay. Happy, you're still alive? No! That's a ghost! Stop talking. If you want to fight, do it at the class trial. We save some of the fun for later, right?
What?
Is it okay that there's no particular penalty for being late?
Is that right?
Made here just fine. School regulation that I violated. You're so selfish, so spoiled. You're right, there's no penalty officially, but I bet you'll be sorry later.
Shing!
No, I'll make sure you are sorry later. Anyway, hustle your butts onto the elevator. I'll be just one step ahead of you. Monakuma's coming. I'll rush up. So you really didn't die?
Indeed.
Of course I didn't die. I'm God. I'm so glad you're okay. Perhaps, but that's not necessarily a good thing for us. Huh? Right now, we gotta deal with a ghost. I told you, stop talking.
Let's go.
Come on, let's just go. Whatever we need to discuss, we can do it during the trial. Without ever looking directly at Kayoko, Byakuya stepped into the elevator. Master, wait for me. Good call. Who knows what might happen to us if we take it.
But...
I'll be happy when this trial's all over. And after that, everyone went quiet, but I couldn't help myself. I had to talk to Kayoko before the cross trial started. Listen, before we get started, I have to ask you. Where have you been this whole time? You used that key of yours to go somewhere, didn't you? So...
Correct.
I'll investigate the second floor of the dorms. Second floor?
That's right.
There aren't many monitors or cameras there, so I was not able to avoid Monokuma completely. Of course, I also missed his announcement because of that.
Whew.
I had no idea a body had been discovered. Sure. And when did you find out?
So...
Just now. I finished my research, came back down just in time to hear the class trial announcement. Took some time to go over the crime scene first. Can't go to trial completely uninformed tonight, so that's why you were late.
However...
Sorry, kept you all waiting. But if you were on the second floor of the dorms, then that's the key.
Wrong.
Actually, besides not quite.
In other words...
It's not a secret tool can open, which can open any lock at the school.
Just a second!
Hey, what are you two doing? Hurry up before we get in trouble with Monokuma.
Makoto.
We can go over all the details after we get through trial, okay, Makoto? Right now, I just want to focus on surviving our current situation.
It would seem...
Because this is probably the most single crucial moment so far for you. Yeah, I know why. For her. That's a strange way to put it. Class trials report for everyone, so yeah. Crucial moment.
Goodbye.
Well, that's all. Ultimate despair. Probably. She's probably ultimate despair. Because I was about to say ultimate soldier, ultimate despair. They don't... I mean, I guess there's some correlation there, but they're not exactly 100% related. So everything what you said, right? see if there's maybe a coin. Maybe throw like a piggy coin in there for listening to all that crap. Okay, let's go. And last one left, stepped into the elevator. Here we go. I think the elevator's the same size, isn't it, like before? Yep. Well, yeah. Like so. This time, the clunking was loud enough to hurt my ears, and the dread began to consume me once again. Can't even imagine ever getting used to the mental pressure that comes from preparing for an execution. In the dusky darkness, nobody said a word. We just stood there, silent and still. After a measurable period of time, the doors opened about, excuse me. Dazzling light penetrated every depth of my eyes, but it wasn't the illuminating life of hope. It was the blinding light of despair. What the heck?
I can't wait! I can't wait!
What happened in here? I've been waiting for this. I feel like it's been forever since we got together like this. The type of pointless jokes and jabs is past.
Thrills! Chills! Kills!
Let's get on with the show. It looks different though, and so the turn open for the 5th time. Deadly Judgment, Deadly Seven, Deadly Trail, Deadly Road, Deadly Defense, Deadly Path, Deadly Classified. Yeah, of course we're gonna save it. Hell yeah. Always save the game. Okay, we're gonna quickly go over these. I don't want to take too long, because that was a while. Okay. Got the vial. She died, or yeah, we're assuming it's she with the nails. Died before the blast. Completely through the body, the knife killed. That was the murder weapon, at least before. Explosion. The bomb was on her, causing her to explode. The upper half of the bottom remained dry still, despite the sprinklers going off at 7:30, so that's on fake nails, but the rest of them were kind of normal. It's kind of weird. But there's some fake nails and some not. The tattoo, probably Mukuro Kusaba, pregnancy and dead body. That was from the bomb in the gym, which was used in the thing to blow her up, probably. Sprinklers come on. Yep, would have gotten wet, so that's probably it. Yeah, so the body was in there 7:30. Yeah, the only one that wasn't there was Kyoko, so it's kind of sus. But maybe it'll make it more interesting than just it being Kyoko, but I don't think so. Knife, we know about that knife. That was the one Makoto had kept. But yeah, obviously we know what happened in his room, the park. It's kind of sus. That part of it was clean and part of it wasn't. So probably one side of it had blood. They cleaned that off, I guess. I don't know exactly what happened yet. We'll find out. One chicken is gone too. That's sus as well. Couldn't have happened before then. Yeah, and they were at the gym the entire night, and they were alone at any point. Actually, I didn't ask them though, but well, I guess they asked covering its head, stop bleeding. You know about their profile. They're the ultimate soldier, not the ultimate despair, which means that's probably Kyoko, but we'll find out the hard way. 16 participants all along. The key, we found that, and led to that. The titanium arrows, 10 of them in total. There's a blood thing underneath it, duct tape. Find out. And then apparently I don't think she did that. I guess we'll find out the hard way. Okay, that's it of that. Just a quick review, recap. Full capacity. A lot of them are useful. They're stuck at 20 though. They're all useful, that's a sad thing. Well, that just means we're gonna have to be more on point for the game. Alright, I think I'm ready. We're ready. Get them hands ready. Let's read this. I just want to read this real quick. we were thinking Kyoko. That's my opinion of what happened. She was the one that did it, but we're gonna find out, obviously, with the case. We'll see what happens. Maybe it wasn't her, maybe it was somebody else. Who knows? Find out the hard way. There we go. Let's do it.
Let's begin with a basic explanation of the class trial. So, your votes will determine the results. If you can figure out who done it, then only they will receive punishment. But if you pick the wrong one, then I'll punish everyone besides the blackened, and the one that deceived everyone else will graduate. Okay, well, I'll leave the rest up to you.
Well then, let's discuss the specifics of the victim. First, we need to clarify who exactly the unidentified victim is.
It's Kyoko. There's no other explanation.
But Kyoko's standing right there.
No, that's a ghost.
He's so dumb.
But she has legs and stuff.
Well, that's just because she's like the latest evolution in ghost technology.
There's a limit to how much ridiculousness I can tolerate.
Okay. So I just have to prove that the corpse isn't Kyoko, right? Then let's compare Kyoko's traits to the traits of the dead body.
Her traits?
Are we seriously going this way?
I got it!
The gloves.
I'm talking about her gloves. They'll give us some insight into the mystery. I'm sure of it.
In that case, I think it would be helpful if someone explained why she actually wears those gloves.
And would you happen to know the answer?
In fact, Monokuma told me. Apparently you have scars on your hands you don't want anyone to see.
Oh! You know, now that I think about it, the corpse wasn't wearing any gloves, right?
They probably just got burnt up in the explosion.
Why do we have to explain it to him? For goodness sakes, dude. This we don't have to explain. Anyone with a brain would know this answer.
I'm not convinced. The ghost is just trying to fool us all.
That's a hero. We have to go through this. Everyone else except for this guy's in agreement here. It might be the tattoo or the fake nails. One of the two. We'll find out which one it is.
That Kyoko there is just a ghost.
Impossible.
Okay, then prove it. Prove she's not a ghost.
The dead body wasn't wearing gloves.
They got burnt up in the explosion.
Wearing gloves, that's true.
Then she was wearing gloves before the explosion?
Well, yeah, she must have been wearing gloves. Because that corpse is absolutely Kyoko.
I think it's the fake.
This entire discussion is idiotic.
It is idiotic. I think it's the fake nails. I hope it's the fake nails. Because no woman in the right mind would wear gloves
Impossible.
and have fake
Okay,
nails.
then prove it.
That's not what they
Prove
think.
she's not a ghost.
The dead body wasn't wearing gloves.
They got burnt up in the explosion.
Then she was wearing gloves before the explosion?
Well, yeah, she must have been wearing gloves.
No, it's wrong.
Fingernails? It had to be, dude. You don't wear fake fingernails.
No, there's no way the corpse was wearing gloves. Whoever it was, they were wearing fake nails, remember? I imagine trying to wear gloves over nails like that would have been a pretty big pain. Besides, Kyoko wears gloves to hide her hands, right? It'd be pretty weird for someone who's self-conscious about their hands to wear fake nails, don't you think?
Jeez, man, you don't know women, huh? They're complicated like that.
I mean, they're complicated. Not that kind of complicated.
If anyone doesn't know women, it's you.
Well, Kyoko, any thoughts?
These gloves were custom made to the size of my hands to make sure they don't interfere with my daily life. If I wore fake nails, the gloves wouldn't fit properly.
Then that's that. The dead body doesn't belong to Kyoko.
Oh, thank God. Can we move on to more important stuff now?
Which should have been obvious since she's standing right here.
He knows the thing.
Okay, so then, who's the real victim? First, we need to figure that out.
That's the first thing I said. You're the one who's been dragging us around in circles.
We have lots of evidence of it. I mean, it sounds obvious to me, but probably the tattoo lady.
Kyoko really is still alive. Then who died?
There's gotta be some way to figure it out. I don't think so. The face was scorched beyond recognition. And there wasn't any description in the Monokuma file. Well, if we can't identify the body...
Then there's nothing else we can do, right?
We can't identify the body.
Kyoko really is still alive. Then who died?
There's gotta be some way to figure it out. I don't think so. The face was scorched beyond recognition.
That's true.
And there wasn't any description in the Monokuma file. Well, if we can't identify the body...
Then there's nothing else we can do, right?
I'm missing the tattoo.
Kyoko
Do the
really
tattoo.
is
Let's
still
try the
alive.
tattoo, see if that's what...
Then who died?
There's gotta be some way to figure it out.
Try the
I
tattoo.
don't think so. The face was scorched beyond recognition.
That's
And there wasn't any description in the Monokuma file. Well, if we can't identify the body...
Then there's nothing else we can do, right?
Izzy over here trying to shoot all the white lines. Noise.
Kyoko really is still alive.
I figured
Then
it's
who
the
died?
tattoo. Is the other two...
Gotta be some way to figure it
The
out.
face is
I
scorched.
don't think so. The face was scorched beyond recognition.
That sounds like...
And there wasn't any description in the Monokuma file. Well, if we can't identify the body...
No, that's wrong.
There's the tattoo. Bingo. He knows his name, though.
There was one clue left behind that we can use to identify the body.
What? For real?
If you're lying, you'll die a cruel and unusual death.
Cruel and unusual death. This I gotta see.
Of course.
She's just being stupid. Ignore them, Makoto. Tell us what you're talking about.
The key to figuring out who it was is the tattoo on the back of her hand.
Oh, yeah. The design's pretty strange, huh? Is this a dog?
Her master must have made her get it. To be like, you're my bitch.
Seriously? You really did something that humiliating?
No, that's not it. The identity of the victim is hidden within that tattoo.
Oh, really?
Should be the file, right?
I got it! The Fenrir Mercenary Corps. That's the name of the military group Mukuro Ikusaba belonged to.
Okay, so...
To show that they're a member of the team, each soldier that joins the squad would get a tattoo representing Fenrir somewhere on their body.
Fenrir?
Is it a wolf? Yeah, wolf. Okay. That one's easy. We know this word. We don't even need to get super crazy. It's a wolf. Easy. Easiest one we'll ever have, boys. 4 letters that give you easiest one we'll ever get.
Now I understand!
Just no hesitation, no point. Just get right to it.
The representation of Fenrir is a wolf.
Fenrir, the Wolf of Ragnarok. It's from Norse mythology. A huge, world-ending wolf face. He's the child of the trickster god Loki, and a female giant.
Man, after all this time, we finally got a glimpse of the literary all-star.
A wolf tattoo. And that means...
Exactly. The body we found had a tattoo of a wolf. Which means that person must have once belonged to Fenrir. So it must have been Mukuro.
What?
Hold on. Isn't she the one that was behind this whole thing?
You sound surprised, but you're absolutely right. Yes, indeed. The trial this time is to solve the murder of Mukuro Ikusaba.
Are you saying the mastermind is dead? And now we have to have a true last trial?
No. It means we were wrong in thinking that Mukuro was the mastermind at all.
But I mean, being the ultimate despair seems like a pretty mastermindy title to me.
That's not the title.
Maybe we shouldn't have been thinking of her as the ultimate despair in the first place. After all, looking at her profile, I didn't see anything that would fit such a description. All it said was that she was the ultimate soldier. If I remember correctly, that other information came from Kyoko. That's what you told Makoto, right?
Yes.
So that means Kyoko got it wrong?
Maybe she didn't get it wrong like she wanted.
Who was she?
We don't know who she is.
Who was Mukuro Ikusaba? She's been gone this whole time, and when she finally turns up, she gets killed.
Usually when there's a scene where an important character dies, it has a lot more detail.
So you're saying she wasn't an important character? Which would mean she was the same as us. Just another participant.
Then who's the real mastermind?
It must have been the Hope's Peak Academy headmaster after all.
No, the headmaster has nothing to do with it.
But how can we trust that? We already know your information about Mukuro was wrong.
My information was not wrong.
Okay. We're in the middle of a trial right now. Figuring out who killed Mukuro is first and foremost. Please limit all future prattle, chatter, and chit-chat as much as possible.
Oi! Don't tell us what to do. If you want to do this trial, by all means, come over here and tell us who did it then.
Fine. Uncovering the identity of the mastermind will have to wait. But remember this. No matter what happens, we will find out who you really are. I stake my family name on it.
I have officially decided to completely ignore all such attempts at provocation. Now then, just so nobody's confused, let me state this one more time for the record. The reason we're having a class trial is because a murder among the students has taken place. Hammer that point straight into your big ol' brains!
What you're saying is that both the victim and the culprit are part of the student body?
Then, one of us killed Mukuro?
Wait, no! There's a chance that there's some mystery 17th person who's been hiding all along!
She really is though.
Nope! There are only 16 students in total that have been taking part in these events.
He's a new level, man.
Seriously? Then one of us killed Mukuro?
Who did it? Who's the killer this time?
Get a hold of yourself. We've already narrowed down the list of possible suspects.
Huh?
I'm sure you realize who I'm talking about, right, Makoto? Who the evidence points to?
I got it! You've narrowed it down to Kyoko and me, right?
Why do you say that?
Allow me to explain. Just after nighttime last night, I went to the garden, so I can confirm that at that point, there was no dead body there.
Well, you went there to go there to see if there was a dead body.
So, the murder must have taken place after I left the garden.
I thought he went there so he could check to see if that dude was there.
However, Hiro, Toko, Hina, and I were in the gym the entire time.
The gym?
That's right. The four of us were there trying to dismantle Monokuma. The whole time we were very careful not to go anywhere alone. We even went to the bathroom in pairs. All of which is to say, the four of us all have alibis. The only ones without alibis
Are me and Makoto. That's why you're able to narrow down the list of suspects.
Oh, she's in trouble.
exactly so.
I feel like she's gonna give us a fight.
I have something I'd like to say regarding the whole alibi thing.
Are you thinking of raising an objection?
Well, before that, I just want to try and get a better idea of what time the murder took place. Doing that might reveal some kind of clue.
Whatever you want. Somebody go ahead and help him out.
Me and Byakuya can both confirm that the body wasn't in the garden at... Well, it was after nighttime for sure. I'd say it must have been around 10 o'clock. So the murder must have happened after 10 p.m.
Then I guess we can say the time frame for the murder was between then and when we found the body? Oh, but what time did we find the body?
9.
The one who saw the body first was Toko, right? And she went to go get the pickaxe.
I got it! The body must have been discovered at 9 a.m., since that's when Toko went to get the pickaxe.
He's right. It had to be around then.
So we can be totally sure the murder happened sometime between 10 at night and 9 in the morning.
For me, I was already asleep before nighttime hit, so I don't have an alibi after 10 o'clock. But I'm sure I met up with everyone else before 9 this morning.
We ran into each other in the dining hall, right? That was around... Oh yeah! Right around 7:30. I remember checking right before I went in, so I'm totally sure about it.
Which means from 10 p.m. to 7:30 a.m., you don't have an alibi.
Wow. Good for him being able to put time together. Can't take that alibi from that period, but next up, the murder didn't happen during the night. That or something else. Find out, huh? Find out the hard way. Maybe the sprinklers. Because, yeah, that could be it.
We've established a time frame for the murder. It took place somewhere between 10 o'clock at night and 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yep, and Makoto doesn't have an alibi for most of that time.
Yeah, from 10 o'clock to 7:30.
That's more than enough time to commit murder, I should think. So Makoto, if you have any objections, now would be the time. We've established a time frame for the murder. It took place somewhere between 10 o'clock at night and 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yep, and Makoto doesn't have an alibi for most of that time.
Yeah, from 10 o'clock to 7:30.
What? Wasn't the sprinklers?
Shoot!
The sprinklers.
We've established a time frame for the murder. It took place somewhere between 10 o'clock at night and 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yep, and Makoto doesn't have an alibi for most of that time.
Yeah, from 10 o'clock to 7:30.
That's a try.
That's more than enough time to commit murder, I should think. So Makoto, if you have
Does it have
any
to be the
objections,
fragments
now would be
or
the time.
It might be the fragments. Maybe this is the first one.
We've established a time frame for the murder. It took place somewhere between 10 o'clock at night.
It's the first one.
No,
That's
what's
what it
wrong?
is. The first one, not the second.
Actually, the murder couldn't have happened anywhere near 10 o'clock. It had to have taken place way later.
And what makes you say that?
Because of the sprinklers in the garden. The sprinklers are set to go off right at 7:30 every morning, right? So if the body had been in the garden before 7:30,
Oh, that's why. Okay.
then it should have been completely soaked.
That's why you diffuse it with that one, not the second one.
Oh, hold on! I remember this part perfectly. The body was wet. Dripping wet, in fact.
Sorry, Toko, but you're wrong.
I'm wrong? How? Are you saying only the mouth down south was wet? How dare You spew such indecent words!
No, I'm saying that the body was wet, but not because of the sprinklers.
What do you mean? By denying the sprinkler, are you trying to deny my entire existence?
I guess she wouldn't know, because she got not washed away.
Man, you're totally wacko.
If you really think it wasn't the sprinkler, you'd better tell us why!
Oh, we have to do this.
I admit nothing. No, no, no! That's enough! Are you trying to blame me? I admit nothing. No, no, no! That's enough! Are you trying to blame me? I admit nothing. I'm right about this. I admit nothing. No, no, no! That's enough! Are you trying to blame me? I admit nothing. No, no, no! That's enough! Are you trying to blame me? I admit nothing. I'm right about this. I admit nothing. How can you say it wasn't the sprinkler?
Probably before they spoke.
I hate you! I don't know anything! Hold on! Are you trying to blame me? How can you say it wasn't the sprinkler?
Okay, we're messing
I admit
horribly right
nothing!
now.
No, no, no! That's enough! How can you say it wasn't the sprinkler?
This should prove it.
Can't believe I have to go out of my way
Just
for
remember what the body was like after the explosion, and you'll see why it wasn't the sprinklers. The top half of the body was wet, yes, but the bottom half was completely dry. If the sprinklers got the body wet, shouldn't the whole body have been wet?
So they only got the top wet? The bottom was completely dry? What a brutal maniac!
I'm so sick of her.
Let's just move on. The reason only the top half was wet was because while the body was still on fire, I doused it with water. But only the part on fire, the top half.
Oh, then I guess the sprinklers really didn't do it.
So if the sprinklers didn't get the body wet, then the murder must have taken place sometime after the sprinklers turned on at 7:30 in the morning.
Which means she must have been killed sometime between then and when the body was discovered at 9.
But Makoto's alibi was only missing from 10 o'clock last night to 7:30 this morning, right?
So there's no way Makoto could have done it. I guess you had an alibi after all. Good for you.
In which case, the only one left without an alibi is Kyoko.
I'd just like to say one thing.
I feel like she's gonna make it hard.
If you vote for me and I die here, the mystery of this school will stay hidden forever.
What?
Which is why I can't let that happen.
So are you saying you're not the culprit?
Of course I'm not. I have no reason to kill anyone. This is a trap the mastermind has laid for us.
A trap?
We're this far into the game and now you decide to blame me? Stop wasting time! Stop wasting energy! You really think your little trick is gonna work?
Shut up, you!
You got it, boss! Shutting up now!
Anyway, Kyoko, you actually did have a reason to kill her.
Huh? She did?
She thought Mukuro was the ultimate despair. In other words, the mastermind behind everything. So she killed her to try and put a stop to all this. Isn't that right, Kyoko? But you made one catastrophic mistake. Mukuro wasn't the mastermind at all. And as a result, we were forced into another trial, something I'm sure you weren't at all expecting.
So, that was her motive?
If she had a motive and no alibi, well then, I think it's pretty clear Kyoko's gotta be the culprit.
Unless somebody else did it, which I mean is possible. I'm not gonna doubt it.
I'm not the only one without an alibi. Makoto's explanation is still insufficient.
Oh no, she's blaming me. Okay, that's it. Crack them knuckles. One-on-one, let's go.
The sprinklers didn't get the body wet, but that doesn't mean the murder happened when he said it did.
What are you...
She's gonna make it difficult, man.
Because you see, there is a way the body could have avoided getting wet.
Interesting. I'm listening.
All it would take is covering the body with a certain something to keep it from getting wet.
I got it! You're talking about the tarp, aren't you?
You catch on quick. You're right. All you'd have to do is cover the body with the tarp, and that'd take care of the water. In fact, that's exactly what the killer did. The dirt pattern on the tarp can attest to that. Only one side of the tarp got dirty, because that's the side that got covered in water. The side that faced down over the body, meanwhile, kept perfectly clean. This proves that the killer used the tarp to keep the body from getting soaked.
But why would they go to all that effort just to keep the body from getting wet?
Most likely so they could cloud the issue of when the murder actually took place. In other words, to create an excuse exactly like the one Makoto just gave us.
She's gonna make it difficult, alright. She's clearly it, but she's gonna make it difficult, alright, here we go. Because she's the killer.
Wait, something's not right.
And what might that be? By covering the body with the tarp, the killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless, right?
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty.
By covering the body with the tarp, the killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless, right?
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty.
By covering the body with the tarp, the killer prevented it from getting wet.
I think this is one I was really
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless, right?
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty.
No, it's not something, because one the contradiction of that, because the side that was exposed to water should be the one that was spotless, because the water would have cleared it.
By covering the body with the tarp, The killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless, right?
It's because that side was protected from the water.
Shoot!
Protected from the water. No.
By covering the body with the tarp. The killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless.
Body was still wet.
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body.
Body before they no blood in the body. It was still wet. Yeah, that's before. It was wet before.
Of course it didn't get dirty!
It has to be that one.
By covering the body with the tarp,
Either has to be...
the killer prevented it from getting wet.
Well, I don't think when the body was found matters, because that's at 7:30. Yeah, no, that doesn't, that shouldn't
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless, right?
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty!
With the tarp. Somewhere in the tarp.
By covering the body...
Somewhere with the tarp. So nothing with the body. The fragment should have nothing to do with that. The only thing I can think of is either maybe the body before the explosion or one of those rewinds. That's the only things I can think of right now. The blood was wet. There was something about the tarp that they said.
The killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless, right?
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty!
Wet and filthy and mud and grime. What with the mud and grime though? Why would mud and grime get on the top of the body? Maybe it was part of it.
The killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless, right?
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty!
By covering the body with the tarp, the killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally...
So before the explosion, the knife was covered in blood, then again fired by something like that. Or maybe us. There's only 5 clues.
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty.
By covering the body with the tarp, the killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless, right?
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty.
That's why I was trying that.
By covering the body with the tarp, the killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless, right?
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty.
By covering the body with the
That's
tarp,
what I'm figuring out.
the killer prevented it from
Try
getting
that. I'm
wet.
gonna try it.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless, right?
It's because that side was protected from the water.
Shoot!
By covering the body with the tarp, the killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless, right?
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty.
By covering the body with the tarp, the killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless, right?
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty.
Shoot!
By covering the body with the
Only thing I
tarp,
could think of,
the killer prevented it from getting wet.
only thing I could think of is body, like, before the explosion, the blood being still wet. I mean, the problem is the body itself wasn't wet from the waist down. Probably have to retry it.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless, right?
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty.
Threw that right.
By covering the body with the tarp, the killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side... Shoot!
I refuse to give up yet!
Darn shame, we're doing rough on this one. It sucks. Sucks to suck. Back here at the tar. Has to be something like before the button. I don't know any other clue that I would have to do with this. Like, maybe the knife, but... It's not the body exploding.
By covering the body with the tarp,
oh, wait a
the
minute.
killer prevented it from getting wet.
Maybe before the
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side
maybe
was the
that's
sprinkler
why.
got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was
Could be something like water set off. I don't think water would set off a bomb, would it?
It's because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty.
By covering the body with the
Might be
tarp,
this. Let's see.
the killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was
because the sprinkler got at the underside of it. It was totally spotless.
because that side was protected from the water. Since it was facing down toward the body, of course it didn't get dirty.
There it is.
No, it's wrong.
It was that one. It wasn't a lead line. It was that one. Thank God.
Actually, one side being clean is pretty strange if you think about it. Because the blood wasn't dry before the body got blown up, right? Byakuya said it himself. Not to touch it, or you might get some on you. If you put a tarp on a body in that state, it absolutely would have gotten blood on it.
Well, maybe the culprit washed it, so nobody would know they'd used it.
If they had, they would have washed both sides. Just washing the one side wouldn't hide anything.
Oh, yeah, true.
More than that, what if the very blood we saw on the body was meant as a kind of camouflage?
What? I don't even...
What if, after the killer used the tarp to avoid the sprinklers, they then covered the body in blood that didn't belong to the victim?
Yeah, okay. Okay, I'll play your game.
You mean
You got me once
someone
already.
else's
Yeah,
blood?
try already.
Where
but-
would they get something like that?
I know! They could have grabbed some of the blood packs from the nurse's office.
That's possible.
That's what Hifumi did, right? When he pretended to be dead?
No, that's not what happened this time. The killer got the blood from right there in the garden.
What in the world could they have done? What kind of kid? This? I don't... Oh, the chicken!
I got it!
The chicken, that's it.
Could it have been chicken blood?
What? Chicken blood?
Why are we helping?
When I checked the chicken coop before the murder, there were 5 chickens.
I like that we're trying to help her defend her point of view.
But after the murder, there were only 4.
So, you're saying someone killed a chicken and then covered the body with its blood? Man, that's messed up.
Killing a living thing just to do something like that is awful. They should have at least eaten it.
I wonder if the killer had to get the blood from the scene so they wouldn't be spotted walking around. Anyway, there's no denying that a chicken went missing, which provides a basis for my theory.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Why don't you help prove her point?
Perhaps, but even so, there's one thing that still doesn't make sense. You said the culprit used the tarp to avoid the water and then covered the body in blood, right? But if that's the case, then the blood should have soaked into the ground around the body. But that's not what we saw. Only the victim's clothing had blood on it. The ground was completely clean.
I have to agree, that certainly is strange. Maybe they didn't apply the blood at the scene. Maybe they covered the coat in blood beforehand.
They covered it beforehand?
When you discovered the body, was it wearing the coat like you normally would?
I think so. Wait, no. The head was through the neck hole, but the arms weren't in the sleeves.
Then that settles it.
Sorry, I'm having a tough time keeping up. What settles what?
Here's what happened. The murder took place before the sprinklers went off. But the body didn't get wet because the killer covered it with the tarp. Then, later, at the same time the killer was gathering up the tarp, they pulled the coat over the body. The coat they'd already covered in blood.
Where's the other coat?
This series of cover-ups was meant to disguise the actual time the murder occurred.
Where's the other coat, lady?
They wanted us to think the murder happened sometime after the sprinklers had gone off, at 7:30.
If that's actually what took place, it certainly becomes possible that the murder happened earlier.
But to pull all that off, wouldn't they have had to go back to the garden after the sprinklers turned off?
That actually wouldn't have been all that difficult.
Huh?
They already had the coat ready, so they just had to grab the tarp and pull the coat over the body. They'd be done in no time.
Maybe, but still.
Hina, after you met up with Makoto in the dining hall, did you two stay together from that point on?
Oh no. I headed off to the gym, and Makoto didn't show up till later.
Oh, you didn't?
Then he had plenty of time to spare, wouldn't you say?
That's not...
Don't bother saying it's not possible.
Oh boy.
I must admit, Kyoko's reasoning is sound. Makoto's alibi is inadequate.
Oh, that's well, I was trying to try. Because she killed him, obviously, or her, sorry. She's the murderer. She's evil. Wait a minute. Disguise. Oh, wait, we got a new clue.
Well then, it looks like we're back to square one.
Got a new clue, boys.
Makoto's alibi is no good, so once again, our suspects are him and Kyoko.
For serious, man? Which one of them did it? Hey, why don't we let luck decide? Let's flip a coin. 50-50 odds.
No, don't do that.
Oh!
See? Pretty good idea, right?
No, not that. I just remembered something super serious.
Well, don't just stand there. Out with it.
You know that knife we found all black and burnt?
The one we found stuck in the body before it exploded, right?
Yep, that was the one in Makoto's room that he stole.
According to the Monokuma file, the knife went all the way through, from front to back. So, what about it?
I'm pretty sure I'd seen that knife somewhere before.
Yep.
That's what I thought when I first saw it. I just remembered.
It's the knife we gave to Makoto?
You don't seem surprised. You must have noticed earlier.
Yeah,
Then why did you hide that fact?
it's not that I hid it. It's just...
Suspicious! Very suspicious indeed. The knife we found stuck in the body came from Makoto. Now I'm totally convinced he did it. 12,000% convinced.
Well, let's do it. Let's see if we did not mess up a million times this time. That was really rough. You had to read that clue again. Key part was that the blood was
The
red.
knife we found lodged in the dead body.
It's the same one we gave to Makoto.
It really is, isn't it? I was afraid of that.
If he did have that knife before, then that seals it. Makoto did it.
Just because I had the knife once, that automatically makes me the killer?
Well, getting stabbed is what killed her, right? So there's no question. You took that knife of yours and killed her with it.
What a horrible man you are, Makoto.
The knife we found lodged in the dead body.
It's the same one we gave to Makoto.
This guy's dead body. This is pretty thin.
If he did have that knife before, then that seals it. Makoto did it!
Just because I had the knife once, that automatically makes me the killer?
Well, getting stabbed is what killed her, right? So there's no question. You took that knife of yours and killed her with it.
What a horrible man you are, Makoto.
The knife.
Was the body discovered before or after? They were dead before the bodies. This arrows could have went through the body completely. Maybe there's something else that was used for arrow.
It's the same one we gave to Makoto.
It really is, isn't it?
Fragments near the dead
I was
body.
afraid of that.
When the body was found. I'm trying to figure out what to do. How many clues do we have? It's like a million or more. This guy's dead body.
That's it.
I don't know how that knife could went through the whole body though. That's the thing.
Just because I had the knife once,
Before the explosion.
that automatically makes me the killer?
Well, getting stabbed is what killed her, right? So there's no question. You took that knife of yours and killed her with it.
What a horrible man you are, Makoto.
The knife we found lodged in the dead
So we
body.
have exploded body
It's the
analysis.
same one we gave to Makoto.
It really is, isn't
Fragments
it?
near the body.
I was
The body
afraid
was
of that.
found. This guy's
If he
dead
did
body
have that knife
the
before,
explosion.
then that seals it. Makoto did it.
Just because I had the knife once, that automatically makes me the killer?
Well, getting so there's no question. You took that knife of yours and killed her with it.
Was he really?
What a horrible man you are,
I think
Makoto.
he might have been killed with the arrow, because the arrow could go through.
The knife we found lodged in the dead body.
It's the same one we gave to Makoto.
It really is, isn't it? I was afraid of that.
If he did have that knife before, then that seals it. Makoto did it.
Unless we can prove our way out.
Just because I had the knife once, that automatically makes me the killer?
Well, getting stabbed is what killed her, right? So there's no question. You took that knife of yours and killed her with it.
What a horrible man you are, Makoto.
The knife we found lodged in the dead body.
Exploded body.
It's the same.
Is there anything about the analysis of it? No. Fragments near the dead body. Could be that.
It
When the body
really
was
is, isn't
found,
it?
that's not going to do anything.
I was afraid of that.
Disguise
He did have.
It might be fragments. It might go on the limb with that.
That seals it! Makoto did it!
Just because I had the knife once, that automatically makes me the
Try
killer?
this.
Well, getting stabbed is what killed her, right?
Shoot!
I don't want to mess up twice.
The knife we found lodged in the dead
The
body.
body was found.
It's the same one we gave to Makoto.
It really is, isn't it? I was afraid of that.
If he...
The body before the explosion. But they just said that that went through front and back.
That seals it! Makoto did it!
It's not the
Just-
supposed exploded body, but the knife. They were dead before the deaths. The knife that went completely before the body.
That automatically makes me the killer?
Well,
This guy's
getting
dead.
stabbed is what killed her, right?
Body.
So there's no question.
I don't know what else it could be. I mean, maybe the knife itself, but we don't have that evidence, do we?
You took that knife of yours and killed her with it.
What a horrible man you are, Makoto.
Body before the explosion.
The knife we found lodged in the dead body.
It's the same one we gave to Makoto.
It really is, isn't it? I was afraid
I don't know what else to try. We're kind of
If he
at that
did
position.
have that knife before, then that seals it. Makoto did it.
Just because I had the knife once, that automatically makes me the killer?
Well, getting stabbed is what killed her, right?
Shoot!
Really good battle history. Of course, Kyle.
the knife we found lodged in the dead
Exploded
body.
body analysis. I don't know what else. Like, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. We did the fragment. Right before the explosion, we just tried that.
It's the same one we gave to Makoto.
The body was found. I don't know if that had anything to do with this. We can't really prove that we didn't have the knife at any point. So my question is how did the knife get perfectly clean? Then again, like I said, it was probably from the fire, but so it's just like, what else is there? Well, it's like I said, this says that they were dead before the blast, so
If he did have that knife before, then that seals it. Makoto did it.
Just because I had the knife once, that automatically makes me the killer?
Well, getting stabbed is what killed her, right? So there's no question.
well, I mean, it doesn't say that completely. Well, no, it says that they stabbed with a knife, but they also have been struck in the head with an object about as thick as a metal pipe. But where in the world can we prove that?
You took that knife of yours and killed her with it.
What a horrible man you are, Makoto.
So we did. I'm trying to figure out.
The knife we found lodged in the
before
dead body.
explosion, that had nothing.
It's the same one we gave to Makoto.
It really is, isn't it? I was afraid of that.
If he did have that knife before, then that seals it.
Just because I had the knife once, that automatically makes me the killer?
Well, getting stabbed is what killed her, right? So there's no question. You took that knife and
What a horrible man you are, Makoto.
The knife we found lodged in the dead body.
It's the same one we gave to Makoto.
I'm just stumped right now. I'm not thinking well tonight. That's what we need to figure out. If it happened then how did the bomb get there?
It really is, isn't it?
I only have 5 clues, so we'll try this.
If he did have that knife before, then that seals it. Makoto did it.
Just because I had the knife once, that automatically makes me the killer?
Well, getting stabbed is what killed her, right? So there's no question. You took that knife of yours and killed her with it.
What a horrible man you are, Makoto. The knife we found lodged in the...
It's the same one we gave to...
It really is, isn't it?
If he did have that seals it. Just because I had that automatic...
Well, getting stabbed is what killed her, right?
Unexploded body, so no explosion.
The knife we found lodged in the dead body.
It's the same one we gave to Makoto.
It really is, isn't it? I was afraid of that.
If he did have that knife before, then that seals it. Makoto did it.
Just because I had the knife, that automatic...
Well, getting stabbed is what killed her.
No, that's wrong.
Bingo. Took forever. I'm doing so bad already. But we got it. At least we got it.
Wait, hold on. The stab wound isn't what killed Mukuro. That should be clear from the description of the cover-up we just heard.
Lies! We never talked about what killed her!
No, don't you remember? The killer covered the dead body with the tarp, and then put the bloody coat on it, right? In other words, the victim never wore that blood-stained coat until after they were dead.
Okay, fine. So what?
So, when we discovered the body, the knife had been thrust through the coat along with the body. Meaning, if she wasn't stabbed until the coat was put on, and she was already dead at that point, obviously the stab wound isn't what killed her.
Maybe you stabbed her twice. Once to kill her and once to cover it up.
I got it!
And the Monokuma file.
The Monokuma file clearly states that there was only one stab wound.
Oh yeah, it sure did. Totally forgot about that.
Then the knife...
Was just another piece of camouflage set up by the true killer. They probably stabbed her to draw attention away from what actually killed her. Exploding the body afterward was probably meant to do the same thing. The explosion severely damaged the body, making it impossible to know what really killed her. It was all the killer's attempt to destroy all evidence of their crime.
So they wanted us to notice the stab wound and then detonated the body afterward. They meant for us to latch onto the knife as the cause of death, then destroy any evidence proving otherwise.
Oh, hey, I have a question. It kind of goes back to the beginning, but what's the deal with that explosion anyway? Why'd the body just blow up all of a sudden like that?
If you bothered to put that lump of gray matter between your ears to use, you'd know the answer.
Well, if you're so smart, just tell me.
I'll tell you. I bet some unknown quantum particle caused an atomic level spontaneous combustion!
I might be dumb, but even I'm not dumb enough to believe that.
Go ahead, Makoto. Tell her or we won't make any headway on this.
It should be the fragments, right? Has to be the fragments. Yes, has to be the fragments.
I got it! After the explosion, we found a tiny fragment of something on the ground near the body, right? That fragment reveals the cause of the explosion.
Huh? You know, I feel like I've seen something like it somewhere before.
That's only natural, because of course, we saw the same thing when we dismantled Monokuma. It's part of a bomb.
Oh! Then the explosion was because of the Monokuma bomb.
Anyway, the culprit's motive is becoming more and more obvious by the minute. They wanted the knife wound to look like the fatal injury so that we'd suspect Makoto. And the only one who would benefit from that is the only other possible suspect. You, Kyoko.
Hold on a second, Byakuya.
What's the problem?
Well, I just feel like we need to think this through. We still don't know what actually killed the victim.
That's true. It's definitely bugging me. What really killed her?
Fine. I have no problem with that. Let us continue the debate. It won't change the facts of the case regardless.
Alright, back to this. We have only 3 this time.
Then, shall we continue the debate? The victim's fatal injury has yet to be determined, correct?
The explosion didn't kill her for sure. Yes.
Well, yeah. She was already totally dead when that happened.
And it wasn't you because of the knife, right? And then there's only one other thing.
Oh yeah. According to the Monokuma file, that's gotta be it. There was evidence that showed she was hit on the back of her head.
And more than that, the victim had suffered countless wounds across her entire body. Then, shall we continue the debate?
No, it's gotta be the Monokuma file.
The explosion didn't kill her for sure. Yes.
Well, yeah. She was already totally dead when that happened.
And it wasn't you because of the knife, right? And then there's only one other thing.
Oh yeah. According to the Monokuma file, that's gotta be it. There was evidence that showed she was hit on the back of her head.
And more than that, The victim had suffered countless wounds across her entire body.
Thought that was it.
Shoot!
Looked good, but no. I mean, that
Then
is
shall we continue the debate? The victim's fatal injury has yet to be determined, correct?
The explosion didn't kill her for sure.
Well, yeah. She was already totally dead when that happened.
And it wasn't me because of the knife, right? And then there's only one other thing.
Oh, yeah. According to the Monokuma file, that's gotta be it. There was evidence that showed she was hit on the back of her head.
And more than that, the victim had suffered countless wounds across her entire body. Then shall we continue the debate? The victim's fatal injury has yet to be determined, correct?
The explosion didn't kill her for sure. I guess.
Well, yeah.
And it wasn't me because of the knife, right? And then there's only one other thing.
Oh, yeah. According to the Monokuma file, that's gotta be it. There was evidence that showed she was hit on the back of her head.
And more than that, the victim had suffered countless wounds across her entire body. Then shall we continue the debate? The victim's fatal injury has yet to be determined, correct?
Shoot!
We determined.
Then shall we continue the debate?
What did Bonnie
The victim's fatal injury has yet to be determined, correct?
The explosion didn't kill her for sure.
Well, yeah. She was already totally dead when that happened.
And it wasn't me because of the knife, right? And then there's only one other thing.
Oh, yeah. According to the Monokuma file, that's gotta be it. There was evidence that showed she was hit on...
There's nothing wrong with that, that is true. The back of the head. I mean, how could we know it was the back of the head? It said in the head, didn't say back. But that might be
And more than that, the victim had suffered countless wounds across her entire body.
I don't know if those matter, though.
Then shall we continue the debate? The victim's fatal injury has yet to be determined, correct?
The explosion didn't kill her for sure. Yes.
Well, yeah. She was already totally dead when that happened.
And it wasn't me
Total
because of the
body
knife, right?
analysis.
And then there's only one other thing.
Oh, yeah.
Body analysis, body
According to the Monokuma file, that's gotta be it. There was evidence that showed she was hit on the back of her head.
And more than that, the victim had suffered countless wounds across her entire body. Then shall we continue the debate? The victim's fatal injury...
Well, yeah. She was already totally dead when that happened.
And it wasn't me because of the knife, right? And then there's only one other thing.
Oh yeah. According to the Monokuma file, that's gotta be it. There was evidence that showed she was hit on the back of her head.
I figured that.
Shoot!
Then,
Just like I said, it's probably not one of these. I mean, none of them really gives convincing body count.
The explosion didn't kill her for sure.
Well, yeah. She was already totally dead when that happened.
And it wasn't because of the knife, right? And then there's only one other thing.
Oh yeah. According to the Monokuma file, that's gotta be it. There was evidence that showed she was hit on the back of her head.
and more than that, the victim had suffered countless wounds across her entire body. Then, shall we continue the debate? The victim's fatal injury has yet to be determined.
There it is.
No, that's wrong.
There's that one. Okay. Well, at least we're figuring it out. We're struggling, but we're figuring this out, I guess.
Mukuro died because of the blow to the back of the head she suffered.
What about the wounds all over the rest of her body? They didn't have anything to do with it?
The Monokuma file makes it clear that those weren't fresh wounds.
Oh yeah, good point. If they were old, I guess they don't really matter.
Okay, then we're safe in assuming the blow to the back of her head is what killed her.
But then, what was the murder weapon?
The Monokuma file says she was hit with a blunt object, about as thick as a metal pipe.
Oh, I bet it was the pickaxe!
No, it wasn't.
How is that even possible? If you hit someone with that, it'd cave their skull in completely.
Well, maybe they held it the other way and hit her with the handle.
Yeah, right.
No way! The balance would be all off. You wouldn't be able to swing it with any kind of power. I wouldn't mind testing it on you if you want.
No thanks. I bet you just hit me with the metal end and call it an accident.
I'd love to scoop out that nasty brain of yours, throw it on the ground and spit on it.
I feel the same way! Looks like we're on the same page this time.
Seriously?
We want to figure out what killed her, right? It just so happens we already know.
We already know? I knew we could count on you, Master.
So what was it?
Go ahead and tell them, Makoto. Surely you've deduced the real murder weapon?
Sure.
I got it! Mukuro was hit in the back of the head with something. And that's what killed her. And that something was the titanium arrow we found in the locker in the dojo.
Arrow. That's what the culprit attacked Mukuro with?
Indeed. There's no doubt about it.
Are you sure? That sounds kind of weird.
Hey! How dare you backtalk, Master? You have no right!
I'm not back-talking anything. I'm just saying what I think.
One more secret about the weapon. Because we're struggling to get it right. We've been messing up multiple occasions, which is kind of sad. Oh boy, we have a lot of evidence.
The titanium arrow. It was in the dojo locker, right? I have no doubt that was the murder weapon.
Are you sure?
You don't sound convinced. What's the problem?
Well, because in the Monokuma file, it said the weapon must have been about as thick as a metal pipe, right? It seems like an arrow would just be too thin.
Talking back to Master! You have no right!
The titanium...
I don't think Monokuma's count. I just didn't prove that the weapon was...
It was in the dojo locker, right? I have no doubt that was the murder weapon.
You sure?
You don't sound convinced.
Probably
What's
the
the
bloody
problem?
dovetail.
Well, because in the Monokuma file, it said the weapon must have been about as thick as a metal pipe, right? It seems like an arrow would just be too thin.
No, that's wrong.
God bless, we finally nailed one. First try. Thank God. Oh, goodness gracious.
You're right. Just the one arrow would have been too weak. That's why the killer used another weapon.
Another weapon?
Inside the dojo locker, we also found a balled-up wad of duct tape. The killer probably used this duct tape to bind multiple arrows together. Bundling them together using the duct tape would easily create a single weapon as thick as a pipe. And that's exactly what the killer did.
It's similar to Aesop's fable about the bundle of sticks.
You know, she's kind of sussing out too that she knows all this stuff.
One stick is weak. You put them together, and they become strong. It's meant to teach cooperation.
Damn, that's harsh.
How is
But
it
now I
harsh?
definitely think it's
Are
bad.
you even listening?
Anyway, that explains the murder weapon. As for who the culprit is that stashed the weapon in the dojo locker, it was you, Kyoko.
I've never been to the dojo.
Yeah, right.
Oh no, you absolutely have.
How can you say that with such confidence?
Because we have proof, of course. Don't we, Makoto?
We do indeed. We do.
What's the matter? Surely you don't intend to protect a murderer.
Well, actually, then again, that's a good point, because you're the only one that had a key to a room.
You know what will happen if you do, don't you? If you cover for the culprit, there's only one thing that can lead to. The death of us all, remember?
Of course I remember.
Then show us. Show everyone the evidence that proves Kyoko went to the dojo.
Probably the key, right? It was in a room. I mean, that's the only thing I could think of. If it's something else, I think we're in trouble.
I got it! The one thing that proves Kyoko was in the dojo is right here. The key to the dojo locker.
And how does that prove anything?
Because I found it in your room.
It was in my room?
Don't bother trying to play dumb.
Might be him.
That key is just the final piece of the puzzle. Your non-existent alibi, your clear motive, your attempts to frame Makoto for the crime. This all proves that you are the true culprit. You can't explain this away, so just give up.
Well, she can, because he had the key.
Hold on a second.
Not this again. You really are dead set on defending her, aren't you?
Well, it's because you were the only one that had the key.
No, it's not that I want to defend her. It's just, there's one more thing I need to ask her. Kyoko, I want you to tell me something. Last night, you were in my room, weren't you? Why? What were you doing there? That's what I need to know.
I was just protecting you.
What?
Does that mean she knows being attacked? She can't. Could be. Shouldn't be like.
That's enough. The time for idle chatter is over. A verdict is close at hand.
Wait. I'm warning you. Don't make this mistake. I'm not the killer.
I knew you were stubborn, but this is just getting ridiculous.
Really? But you should know better than anyone I didn't do it. Can you tell me I'm wrong?
I should know.
Yeah, you have her key. why. That's Yuki.
Those words you just spoke. What do you mean?
Exactly what I said. I'm not the killer. You should understand that more than anyone here.
Byakuya, what are you hiding?
Master would never hide something from me!
There's proof that you aren't the culprit. Is that what you're saying?
You stated a theory earlier. You said I hid the evidence of my crime in the dojo locker, and then left the locker key in my own room, correct? But could I really have done that?
Those words you just spoke. What do you mean?
Exactly what I said. I'm not the killer. You should understand that more than anyone here.
Byakuya, what are you hiding?
Master would never hide something from me!
I don't think it's Byakuya.
There's proof that you aren't the culprit.
No, that's wrong. We got it. We knew it. We knew it, boys.
If I'm right, Kyoko wouldn't have been able to get into her room
Huh? Why not?
because she had given her room key to Byakuya.
I see. So that's what you meant. And if I had the key to your room,
Then obviously I had no way of getting in. Without my room key, I couldn't have possibly put the locker key in there myself. Am I wrong?
it would appear not.
Then you're finally starting to understand.
Who is it? What should I do? What should I... Mastermind's trap. Victim was Mukuro and Kayako killed her. Does Kayako really know? What am I supposed to do? Kayako's lie? I'm the only one who knows it's a lie. The only one who can expose it. But who can I trust? What am I supposed to do? Mastermind's trap. You spend all your time trying to avoid danger, you'll never move forward. We know the danger, but if that risk means solving the mystery, we have no choice. Am I wrong? We vote nobody. We let it go? Oh boy, I'm nervous, dude. I don't... We let it go. My decision. I have to believe in Kyoko. There's no way that she would kill someone. Has to be some secret or something that has to do with Mastermind's trap like Kyoko.
Well, does no one have a rebuttal? Have you decided to accept her assertion as fact? I see. So you still refuse to accept it. I suppose we have to admit that Kyoko didn't put the locker key in her room. That it was someone else.
But who else could it have been?
I mean, Byakuya had a room key, right?
You! What are you trying to imply?
But of course, I have an alibi. From nighttime on, I was with you guys the entire time. I couldn't possibly have killed anyone, or put the key in Kyoko's room.
Well, someone had to put the key in there.
There's only one other possibility I can think of. Someone could have had the key on them, then once they arrived at the scene, pretended to find it there.
What? It had to be Makoto, right?
I don't see any other option.
Wait a second. You've got it all wrong. Let's think about it one more time. There's gotta be a hidden side to this case.
Huh? A hidden side?
First of all, there's something off about this entire trial. You all see it, don't you? Lucaro, who we didn't even know existed, suddenly shows up dead, and then we're thrown into a trial. And Kyoko even said it's a trap the mastermind set for us. So that's why this has to be...
Okay, time's up!
Huh?
Time's up! Class trial's all over! Everyone can stop talking now!
What? Time's up?
What do you mean time's up? There's no time's up. Since when have we...
It's because you were late, so we had to push back the start time. So then, it's time for voting time, okay? Everyone, please vote using the lever in front of you!
Voting time?
What the? Well, that's the trial. A lot of bees. That's it. That's the whole trial. Well, I mean, I guess we'll find out, huh?
Now, who will be chosen as the blackened? Will you make the right choice or the dreadfully wrong one?
Hey, hold on!
What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be?
Here we go, Kyoko. Oh no, I doubled him. Wasn't him though. Oh boy. What? You think I'm the killer?
Sorry.
It's all your fault. Everyone, you are wrong.
Yes, indeed.
Got it. Good job.
Yep.
Yeah, they got it right. No, that's not true. No, this makes sense. This whole trial doesn't make any sense.
Hey!
Makes perfect sense.
Shing!
It's the same as always, just like all the other side trials, are gonna end with the same way.
Thrills! Chills! Kills!
Your heart pounding, positively thrilling brain. Wait, why do I...
I don't expect you to forgive me. I know this is all my fault.
Kyoko.
Let's give it everything we've got! It's punishment time!
Oh boy, he's dead. Well, ripping pepperonis. Wasn't even the killer though. This is fun. I just tried this to see what happens. What the heck happened? He didn't die. What? What's this? What's going on? What was that? Oh yeah, it had to be
This is...
alter ego. Alter ego. Is this some stupid virus from that stupid guy?
would seem...
Seems we finally made a miscalculation. And miscalculation is very good.
What the heck?
What was that?
In other
What I'm
words,
saying is you should have underestimated us. Why are you talking like you've already won? Barely fell a thing. It was a pinch. Supervirus is gone. You got it? So is Makoto. Maybe I didn't get to smash and clap, but you're never gonna see me.
Yaha!
Waste away in a garbage stream player. In a way, that's an even better fun special content. But still not enough. I'm still not satisfied. I'm still gonna bring despair to the rest of you. Bring despair to the entire world. Gone? Okay, what's the meaning of all this? Just what the hell's going on?
calm down.
It's okay, we are not the ones being trapped this time. Huh?
In other words,
Now it's the mastermind that's ensnared.
What did you say?
What are you talking about? You'll
so...
understand soon. Very soon. Massive high school towers over all the other buildings in this bustling urban area. It's like the school stands at the center of the entire world. Hope's Peak Academy brings in top students from every field imaginable. But wait a minute. It's just the beginning! What? Oh, don't tell me you had to restart because of that. Oh no, okay. I was about to say, dots. What? Where am I? Woke up with my head resting on top of a hard wooden desk. My body felt heavy. Wouldn't be weird for me to zoink or zoke off in the middle of some boring class or whatever, but what was I doing asleep here just now? Wasn't any classroom I've ever been in before. What the heck is going on? Finally, I could finally feel my mind and body start to come back together again, and then I was awake. Or was this just another dream? A dream inside a hopeless nightmare. No, this isn't a dream. I could tell because the stench invading my nostrils is too powerful for a dream. What an awful smell. I was in a vast dark cavern with the barest hint of light seeping in. Trash was piled high all across the area. This must be some kind of underground garbage pit. Heck of a situation to find myself in. But that was just the beginning of my problem. So was I going to be stuck in there until I wasted away and died? No, I can't let that happen. Not after what my good friend went through to save me. I remembered all too well what Alter Ego saved me. And he used up the last little bit of his strength. So I can't give up now. For myself and for my friend. And with that, my pursuit of survival began. First up is start looking for a way out of there. Well, I mean, it looks like up there. Holy crap. Well, okay, well, I don't know what to say after that trial. That was a difficult trial. It's quite difficult. Quite difficult indeed. I mean, it was quite clear Kayako did kill her, yes. That was quite clear from the beginning. I don't know what's going on now. I guess it did get saved, so that's good. But anyway, I think we should wrap it up here. I hope you guys enjoyed it. When we come back, we're gonna figure out what the hell happened here. Who knows? I do wonder what happened if I expose her, because I feel like those are the only two real options. Because the third one would have just gotten me hung too, probably like this, right? That's what I'm figuring. But, yeah, I don't know. Or maybe I could have chose it, but anyway, that's a lot of speculation. I'll speculate more in a later video. It's kind of late for me. I need to wrap up some stuff, turn some stuff in, and go to bed, so hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.